Right, so that was a fantastic recap. I think the I've seen this in slow motion, 15 seconds behind me. That was a fantastic recap. I think it was a great reminder of yesterday's proceedings, and I think the extra nuance that you get out of those recordings is really, really useful. So, when I think everybody, whether you missed yesterday or not, I think it's well worth watching those panel discussions again. Those highlights were just a really good example of the importance of the discussions that we're having at this conference over these 2 days. Right, next on our programme is I'd like to introduce Sarah Wilford from Net Zero Teesside, who will be talking about decarbonising industry on Teesside. So I give you Sarah Wilford.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you very much for inviting me to give you an insight into Net Zero Teesside. It's a fantastic opportunity. Look forward to hearing all about the conference that you've been having over the last couple of days. So to introduce myself, I'm the HSC manager on the Net Zero Teesside project. And I've been leading on the consent, particularly on the consenting side of things. Today, I'm going to give you an insight into what CCUS is, why we need CCUS, why Teesside, short project description, something on the DCO and sustainability, and also the future outlook. It's a bit of a whistle-stop tour. So if you want to find out more, we do have a website, which is netzeroteesside.com. So feel free to have a rummage through the website, and there's a lot of material on there that you'll find of interest. So if I can ask Rachel to share the slides, there'll be a schematic of the proposed development, Net Zero Teesside. I think you can see that. Yes, here it is. Great. So I'll just dive into what is CCUS. Carbon capture. So CCUS stands for carbon capture, utilization and storage. It's a proven and safe process that removes CO2 from emissions, for example, from a power station or chemical manufacturing installation, and then compresses the CO2 so that it can be safely transported to secure underground storage sites. It's then injected into layers of solid rock, several kilometres underground, where the CO2 is stored, preventing it from being released into the atmosphere. So as you can see here, we'll be exporting CO2 down a pipeline from Teesside to the Endurance store, approximately 145 kilometres offshore. Rachel, I'm just wondering if you can share the previous slide, which focuses on Net Zero Teesside, first of all. Thank you. So why do we need CCUS? CCUS, as I said, is a proven technology and is already in use around the world. It's one of a number of technologies that are crucial to reducing CO2 emissions and combating global warming. The Committee on Climate Change states all credible pathways for the UK to reach net zero emissions involve a significant role for CCUS in decarbonising industry. And it's recognised that renewable energy has a big part to play in also achieving net zero emissions. The Net Zero Teesside project itself enables the production of clean energy through power generation, and also the capture of CO2 from industrial processes around the around the Teesside Valley. In producing clean power, we are looking to not usurp the renewable industry, but to work alongside particularly the wind sector. So we support the wind sector when the wind cannot blow, and that means that we'll be running our power generation in dispatchable mode. So CCUS has a significant role to play in decarbonising industry. We're looking to potentially safeguard existing local industry and also enable future industry, as industry will need to meet net zero emissions by 2050, which, as you're probably aware, is now part of UK legislation. Why Teesside? That's our next question. Teesside is an area that represents about over 5%, just over 5% of UK's industrial CO2 emissions. And it's over a relatively small area, which means that we can connect to local industry relatively easily, with the opportunity then to collect CO2 from local industry, as well as provide clean power into the network. The Net Zero Teesside project itself, in order to home in on Teesside, as well as thinking about the industrial piece, we also looked at where we are in relation to the potential stores in the North Sea. So the North Sea has a global reputation for CO2 capture opportunity, which is of interest. And we've identified, as you saw earlier on the slide before, Endurance as a store that can take carbon dioxide. So the proximity that Teesside has to these potential stores, both existing and future, is another enabler for us to locate at the Teesside industrial area. So as you can see here, there's a schematic of the Net Zero Teesside project. I must say that this represents the full detail of the project once it's developed to its full potential that we are presently working on. We are providing a consenting route for the first phase, which is actually one powertrain and up to 4 million tonnes of CO2 to be captured from industrial processes. So you'll see the green dotted line is going to be a CO2 line to be connected around the Teesside area, both on the north bank and the south bank. And then we'll compress that and export it offshore, as well as CO2 that's being captured from the power generation process. So the first phase will be up to 4 million tonnes of CO2 captured, compressed and exported offshore. And then future phases will build out to up to 3 trains of CCGT, so that's the power station and capture, and then working with local industries as we build out to a significant potential portfolio of local industry carbon capture. I think that's the right time to then move on to the next slide, if you don't mind, Rachel. So I talked about the DCO briefly, and we're just in the process of building out towards a submission, which will be the end of March 2021. And this will talk to the first phase of the Net Zero Teesside development. In terms of sustainability, we're looking to integrate with the Teesworks sustainability strategy and also develop the BP sustainability strategy alongside that. BP itself have just announced this year that they have a very focused sustainability strategy with 3 pillars underpinning that around people, planet and carbon. And we believe that this strategy and this project talks to all 3 pillars. This slide here represents the next stage that we're now beginning to work on, which is collaborating with another low carbon decarbonisation industrial cluster, which you may have heard about, and that is Zero Carbon Humber. So as you can see, we're looking to also connect a pipeline to Humber and into the Endurance store, which will then create an East Coast decarbonisation opportunity with potential for future expansion into other stores across the North Sea that I mentioned earlier, which has great potential to store significant amounts of CO2. Our first phase, as I mentioned, 4 million tonnes. From Teesside up to 10 million tonnes a year we'll be able to export. And from Humber, I believe it's up to 17 million tonnes of CO2 that we'll be able to export and inject into Endurance and future stores. So I believe that's my 10 minutes. I'll stop there. Thank you very much. As I said, if you need any more information, please connect with netzeroteesside.com.